Hi everyone. I'd like to thank you all for coming out this morning and welcome you to what will be the first of several staff meetings regarding the Marion City Public Library privacy policy. As all of you know, my name is Nathan Elwood and I am the director of the Marion City Public Library. Marion City Public Library has an ongoing commitment to confidentiality. In our mission statement, it states that Marion City Public Library works to preserve the privacy, confidentiality, and dignity of all patrons, staff, and affiliated persons. This echoes the core values of librarianship of the American Library Association, which states that protecting user privacy and confidentiality is necessary for intellectual freedom and fundamental to the ethics and practice of librarianship. Therefore, we believe that privacy and confidentiality are essential to the mission of Marion City Public Library, which is to provide the best information to the greatest number at the lowest cost. Unfortunately, there are many current threats to privacy that may work counter to these goals. After 9/11, the Patriot Act was swiftly enacted. This legislation allows limitless warrants and permits the federal government to request information from bookstores and libraries, including patron and customer records. In December of 2001, the University of Illinois Graduate Library School surveyed 200 public libraries and discovered that 40 libraries had already complied with law enforcement requests and disclosed patrons' information and behavior. While we at the Marion City Public Library will not break the law or actively resist law enforcement agencies, we can take actions to prevent this type of information gathering. However, this is not the extent of threats to patron privacy that exist in the modern age. Beyond active acquiring of patron checkout records or other library activity, there is a significant danger to patron confidentiality and anonymity that comes from the threat of modern-day internet surveillance. Just by virtue of the massive amounts of data collected through the internet today, we may be inadvertently allowing our patrons to have records of their habits and activities recorded, just by allowing them access to computers and the internet. Search engine companies, social media sites, and companies like Amazon and Microsoft collect and analyze data on users. This data is collected into metadata describing an individual, creating a profile of that person. Often, this profile is sold by these companies to third parties for the purpose of advertising or other financially motivated goals. While we generally think of the use of big data as non-threatening, what does it harm me if Google is able to tailor ads to me specifically, it can be unnerving for our patrons to have their habits monitored and analyzed. There's also the risk of behavioral tracking using non-personally identifiable information, such as IP addresses, pages visited, geographic location information, search strings, etc. Even the searches we, as reference workers, conduct for our patrons could be used to create profiles using many of the currently available online resources. This is, without question, a form of mass surveillance by private agencies, and we need to be extremely wary of it. What's more, companies are known to share their data flows directly with the FBI, NSA, and other government agencies. We must consider how we can navigate our responsibility as open sources of information for our patrons, without becoming open sources of information about our patrons. So what is our response to these privacy threats? Our initial plan is threefold. Marion City Public Library shall work to preserve patron confidentiality in all library functions. Marion City Public Library shall evaluate our resources to limit the information that we distribute. And Marion City Public Library shall increase the information literacy of our staff and patrons. Some of the initial changes we make will be to our record keeping. First and foremost, previous checkouts and other sensitive account information will no longer be stored by our integrated library system. We will still maintain accounts that track current patron checkouts as well as overdue books or late fees, but returned items and other similar information will be purged regularly from the system. Furthermore, no identifying information will be recorded during reference transactions or other patron interactions. We will still record date, time, content, and other factors of reference transactions for the purpose of analytics, but we will not, under any circumstances, record identifying information of the patron, such as a name or description. Now, to talk about some of our possible technological changes, I'm going to turn it over to our technical coordinator, Greg Chandy. Thanks, Nathan. We're going to be looking at several interesting technology options moving forward to help preserve privacy. Probably the biggest change will happen within our 14 patron use computers, which currently run the Windows 7 operating system. Many of you may not know, but in 2007 it was revealed that Microsoft, among other major technology companies, was a participant in the NSA PRISM surveillance program. For this reason, we are going to be switching all our computers over to a secure Linux-based operating system. We will also be exploring different internet browser options while we look for a secure one. Another technological project to get excited about is the possibility of the Marion City Public Library operating a Tor exit relay. This is a project suggested by the Library Freedom Project. Is everyone here familiar with Tor? No? Okay. So when a user opens a Tor browser and navigates to a website, her traffic is bounced over 3 relays, scrambling her traffic with 3 layers of encryption, making the original IP address undetectable. The exit relay is the last relay in this circuit, the one that actually talks to the public internet. Fast and stable exit relays are vital to the strength of a Tor network. It's not dangerous to run an exit, but because the exit node is the only identifiable one on the circuit, exit operators might face the occasional DMCA notice or law enforcement inquiry about traffic on that browser. Since libraries already provide public internet services, we're actually protected from DMC takedowns by safe harbor provisions and are shielded from the threats that an individual exit relay operator might face in trying to explain to law enforcement agency that the traffic leaving that exit relay is not their own. This is a really cool initiative that we're kind of excited to get involved in, and it's one we plan to explore more with the assistance of the Library Freedom Project. Okay, Nate, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Thanks, Greg. Now, Greg mentioned a couple times the Library Freedom Project. That is a partnership among librarians, technologists, attorneys, and privacy advocates that teaches librarians about surveillance threats, privacy rights and responsibilities, and digital tools to stop surveillance. They've actually started holding a Digital Rights in Libraries conference yearly, the first of which I was lucky enough to attend earlier this year. In January 2016, I've invited them to send representatives here for an educational workshop. This workshop will be mandatory for all library staff above page level. It will last about 3 to 4 hours and cover several topics, including major surveillance programs and authorizations, how to respond when served with an information request, and technology tools that can help thwart surveillances. After this workshop, I will coordinate with our department head of patron services, adult services librarian, and young adult services librarian to develop classes, workshops, and live guides for patrons regarding these privacy issues. Input from other staff members is also welcome. We're actually hoping for a quick turnaround on this and want to start implementing these patron workshops in February of next year. Here at Marion City Public Library, we believe that when users recognize or fear their privacy or confidentiality is compromised, true freedom of inquiry no longer exists. It is our mission in serving the public to preserve and protect that freedom of inquiry, and we will take several steps in order to do so. Marion City Public Library shall work to preserve patron confidentiality in all library functions. Marion City Public Library shall evaluate our resources to limit the information we distribute, and Marion City Public Library shall increase the information literacy of our patrons and staff. Thank you all for coming out today to this presentation about privacy. If you haven't grabbed some already, Andy brought coffee and donuts, which you are free to take on your way out. If you have any questions, I'll be in my office for the rest of the day. Feel free to stop by.